This is day 608 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor the upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. We very greatly appreciate it. As you can see, I'm still at my home base, still in Tennessee, but it was too cold this morning to record outside, or inside. Today we are doing Siman Shin Samach Gimel Siv Gimel, Siman Shin Samach Siv Gimel, the Siman Shin Samach Siv Tes. We're talking about various things about mechitzas. Gimel. Mikom kam lo dami legarmi lekarpav. Nevertheless, the area which has either mechitzas shusi or mechitzas Arab, horizontal or vertical walls only, is not similar to a karpav. Shlo kafadira, which is not enclosed for habitation. The Bakarfa low Tarbashum Panim US base. A sign Tatabakula by Karpov, there's no way it can be more than base a sign. You can't carry any more than that, no matter what. But with these walls, they allowed a caravan to carry even in a much larger area. The definition of a caravan is 3 people for this purpose. But that doesn't include a child or a non-Jew. These are not included in the count of 3. Although there's not like more itself, the Arukh HaShulchan says that a cheresh and a shaita are also not considered to be part and parcel of the count. Why is that? Obviously the same principle. But the next one is a bit of a cheresh. The husband and wife are considered to be like one, even though they're 2 people, but they're 1 unit. The time nearly the Chacham Chashuv Shayro and Marbei Masos Shem Baderech. Why were Chacham more lenient by a caravan? So Arukh HaShulchan suggests that it's because they have many loads when they're on the road. And there is we can't give them a limited space, which might not include their objects that they're bringing. Thing that they're transporting. So this can't forbid them to carry more than 4 amos. They have someone that's going to cause them a loss. Only for the individual, Chazal determined that a base assignment is quite enough. Since there is no limit to the amount of people in the caravan, below or above, Chazal said, the 3 people that have a caravan, 3 is the crowd, the Shlosh Nikoim Rabbi. It's a crowd. The says brackets the Roshina Bezava, Yomim, Shnayim, Rabim, Shlosha. But that Yomim would mean 2, Shnayim means, Rabim means 3. So Rabim is always considered to be 3. If an individual spends Shabbos in a valley, they can mechitzas schools and use these inferior walls. No chassis below chassis. Either horizontal without vertical, vertical without horizontal. I think I actually got that backwards. Either vertical without horizontal, horizontal without vertical. Add to assign up to 2 to a base assigned, he's allowed to carry in the entire enclosure. He's assigned if it's more than enclosures larger than that, you can only carry 4 amos. That's a lot. There are 2 people as well. There are 3 Jews, they're like a caravan, you can carry in the entire enclosed area. I feel God, even if it's very big, circle. As long as you don't enclose more than they need. Meaning, there shouldn't be a base assigned in that enclosure which they're not using for any purpose. But if there is a base assigned which is empty, if you can't carry the entire enclosure, only within 4 amos. If a post base assignment, if it's less than base assignment of empty area, we're not concerned. Now, one can't be precise in these matters. So as long as nothing is not left, area size Mishnah is not left unfixed, unused. Lo cheshina lo, we're not concerned with this. Even though I place base assignment, base assignment, unless the base assignment dina chadina who islu the same malacha zelin and hekef l'dira. That's in terms of and very closely for the purpose of a dira. That's also that's derived from the Chatzar Mishkan. In terms of the significant place should not remain a significant expanse, should not remain empty. The rock base Sayim Yesh Chashibus. Only with the base of sign or above does have significance. Opposed base of sign not less than the base of sign. Hey, but you should know the Dibya Rama is that Tmuim Bone. The Rama is very difficult. Shows the Berg design Ted to Dinyud base. Yochid Shabbos speak on individuals who spent Shabbos in this valley, and made an enclosure around it. And Yeshua ad base assignment has up to base assignment, Mutter Tazabakuli can carry in all of it. It must be yesterday base assignment, it's more than a base assignment, and Metatlin Arbamas, you can only carry it in 4 Amos. Shlosha range, but 3 people are a caravan, He didn't mention at all this concept of that it's talking about specifically inferior walls, like horizontal, vertical to horizontal, horizontal to vertical. This is antithetical to all the words of the Shas and the Pesachim. I'm astonished at the Mefarshim of the Rambam did not comment on this. Vav, the nearly borrowed seems to be clear. The Rambam Shita Acheres is he had a different approach. If you have 3 carpets, one next to each other, and the outer ones have walls on their foreside, meaning the middle. It's like a barbell, so to speak, and the outer ones have walls, and the inner one does not. So because he doesn't have the way the barbell is shaped. By definition, the outer ones have kifufim on the side open to the middle. The middle one does not have kifufim from his perspective. This individual in each one of these areas. And also we share there like a caravan, but now give them all that they need. The Gemara is not mentioning inferior walls. Gemara is mentioning that it's that there's a megufaf, that there's some sort of wall for the outer ones, not for the inner ones. Then Mr. Rashi's up here, Rashi is going to introduce the Shekibu Shel Shetzi Shel Ereb. That's surrounded with one of these inferior walls. Shas doesn't say anything about being inferior walls. The Rambam explains the be'emes in truth. This is the case that feel mechitzas toivas at the king, even with superior walls. And the reason is because they're temporary walls, not so much because they are inferior, but they are temporary. Because when they travel from there, they're going to take them down. Okay, and the base dira gemur, therefore it's not like a true base dira. The tirak base assigned, the only allowed a base assigned for an individual or for 2. Rak b'shara itiru harbe, and only in a caravan do they allow more than that. Now there's a very long bracket here. The Mishnah the parakamah design base ikam machlek muchel gamre chitza kazu. The main machlek is whether such walls permitted altogether. Chen b'shu Rambam barak. This is what the Rambam Barnur explained. If you have Yosham Gemara the Zelin of Yosef base assigned, then in terms of more than a base assigned, it's an issue. It's all on the road. But in Yishuv, they only permit, only the last Chachamim mentioned, they say that you need one of 2 things. It's about allowing an individual in the community to have a hekif which is greater than that. It's not temporary, according to the Rambam, obviously. It looks like him. According to the other Tanoim in the Mishnah, the fact that it's in the community doesn't make these mechitzas any better, because we're talking about inferior mechitzas. But according to the Rabbanan Basroi, last Rabbanan, it's not the quality of the mechitzas themselves which make a difference. That's the case. If you have complete mechitzas, they don't work for more than base time for an individual if they're temporary mechitzas. Nearly the Chuli Amos will came. Shon says everybody holds that's like this. So Piskei Mishra points out, it seems like he's holding like the Rambam. Mishra doesn't mean the Rambam at all. And in fact, it's in Shin Sam Beis, he passes that a mechitza which is made to remove after Shabbos is a complete shame mechitza, like the Rambam. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan, and the brackets here. It's going to say Rabbi Yehuda Omer, because why I don't know about Arukh HaShulchan, everybody holds this way. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol mechitza Shabbos Luchli Yochel Yosef Beis HaSayim Ayin Sham. It says all the walls of a Shabbos are not permitted for an individual more than a Beis HaSayim. Harei Kol mechitzas Kol Mer. So about all the walls. Rashi says so about inferior walls. Rabbi Yehuda said inferior walls. Okay, Mao said Losha Kol mechitzas. But language Kol mechitzas doesn't fit if we're talking about only inferior walls. Chayefar Sharam Kapashis Sharam explains according to the simple understanding, they're talking about any form of temporary wall. This evidence is from the beginning paragraph, the second paragraph, where it talks about a caravan which is makes Shabbos on a mound, 10 tefachim high, ubeneka, or in a depression, among tefachim, which is 10 tefachim deep. They have to fill the entire area. Not leave a Beis HaSayim open. I ain't sure. The mechitzas gmuras, the walls of a tel, and the walls of a nekah are both mechitzas gmuras. They're shesi and erev. So we see here that's a question of temporary mechitzas. Ask whether there's image between the individual and between the caravan. We'll push them with the Tosefta Ayin Sham and resolves that from the Tosefta. So it seems that there is no distinction, I guess. They all have the same halacha v'duk. Since no distinction made, clearly Yachid and Shara have the same halacha, and it's based on temporary walls, not based on inferior walls. Zayin, if there are 3 people and they enclose a large area, like as they're allowed to. And one of them died on Shabbos. Nevertheless, allowed to carry the entire expanse on which is enclosed. And this Shabbos, we say, since we're in the beginning of Shabbos, the entire Shabbos. So the opposite. The 2 people, we keep close more than a sign. And 1 or 2 people came along on Shabbos itself. Nevertheless, it's too late. There's still us to carry. Since when Shabbos came in, it was prohibited to carry, because it's more than Beis HaSayim, only 2 people. We say since once it was prohibited, it was prohibited. It's a great principle of all the halachos of Eruvin. When it gets ruined on Shabbos, it's not prohibited. When it's fixed on Shabbos, it's not effective. The primary thing has to do with the beginning of Shabbos. Once it becomes mutter, then it's mutter. Once it goes usher again, it's usher. However, it's only if there's no change in the walls. That's only in the other conditions of Erev, that whatever prevails. Here, Shabbos is true for the entire Shabbos. So the walls are different. But the walls themselves have changed. Okay, we don't say that. And a mechitza which falls down on Shabbos is not a mechitza, and a mechitza which is made on Shabbos is a mechitza. It's Bar Simon Shinai Dal, but Siyat Shema is going to clarify later on. So that what you said with a caravan, if more than a Beis HaSayim more is unused, it's also carrying the entire enclosure. That's only if they enveloped more than 6 se'in in the enclosure. But they didn't do more than 6 se'in. Even if there's a Beis HaSayim which is open, Kevon Shahain Shlosha, since there are 3 people there, mutter. We'll have to carry that area. I can't show you. For Rashi's out before Shlehefech. Rashi writes the exact opposite. If they only required a Beis HaSayim, be kifu arbasein, and they enveloped 4, stay in the enclosure. Nabi Bad Mechitza Sakal Lashon, the walls are also cancelled. Harei arba batel. Even enforcing, if you have an area which is a Beis HaSayim empty, it's no good. Koshkan Sheish stands to reason that Shalacha by an enclosure of 16. Seems to be clear in Rich. There were 3 people and they enclosed 16. One of them died. They're permitted that Shabbos. Shabbos go remes because the beginning of Shabbos is what causes the affects the status. Why he tells us if they're sheitzin, even if one of the then even if 2 seim are not being used, it's mutter. He couldn't say my idea. So about that halacha previously. Why doesn't specify that here? Okay, the Rambam, another place he didn't mention, but in halacha, where the previous halacha, we're talking about where one of them dies. Sheisin didn't mention 16 at all. Keep a called Sarkon, they only mentioned you can close all that's necessary. The Mashafil Arbe, which came to include more. Avarif, not in Sheisin, but the river does specify 16 in the case of Meisach Hamem. Kamash will not to be Meisach Hamem, it tells us that it's permitted if one of them dies. You can have a Shminu Gam Heter based on sign Panui. You should also told us that the heter of there's a heter for even more than based on sign, which is unused in that enclosure of 16. Avayis Filu Karashi, they must there hold like Rashi. And it makes no difference whether it's 16 or more or less. So you have up to base of sign remain unused, no more. And in fact, the Shuburim and all the Achronim argue on the basis so that even if it says less than 6 sa'ah in the enclosure, more than a sign which is unused, but answers it. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. So there are, Mordechai does bring down those passages, right? Abisham is really to call them less the base of sign. But Kubi holds that each person gets a base of sign, which time Arban, 2 people get 4, Ushlosh, 3 people get 3. Moshe is Mr. Sober Kain, like somebody is going to says, and therefore he's not talking about a case where a base of sign is left empty. Because each one has a base of sign in of themselves, so therefore by definition, no base of sign is empty. Test should be called echolatzma. The 3 people, and they each made their own enclosure. Zebed said one next to the other, Dushim Shabbos, to dwell there on Shabbos. V'yibsuchim zeh, and they're open to each other. V'yirvu yachad, they made Erev together. They can carry it from one closer to the other. Aim b'kol echad b'rak base assignment. Each one is only up to base assignment. Shitlish kol mutorim zebed zeh. They're mutter to carry one to each other with the Erev. On the other hand, one of them is more than base assigned illegally. That's the kulam, they're all forbidden. It's given this tomorrow. Your lead is Elk Shainim, Shavin Baruch, one of our Korchi, Yesh Kifufi, Mechel, Shainim, and Shainim Shlishi. Where they're not equal in their width, and therefore there are remnants of walls between from 1 to 2, or between from 2 to 3. I feel Shavim Baruch, when they're even the width, Achel Mem Asakifum, where they make Kifufim, which are effectively Luchayim. Tash Chalukim Zem is there now, they distinguish each other, Avshi Yachad, even though they made an Erev together. V'yivshal Yosleim, Shem Shayro, and therefore they can't have the Lach of a caravan. By making more enclosure, they lost their halach of a caravan. Avok Shavim Baruch, but if there's no interrupting walls or the chayayim between the chatzeros, the chol echad, each one's fully open to its other one. Tashnas u'shneira, then by definition they're a caravan. Let them call tzarchim and give them all they need as long as it's not a base of sign empty. Came the ein shum heker b'shlosh u'dirmein. There's no way to identify them as 3 separate dwelling places. But if there's walls, even though the openings are 1 1/10 almost wide, which would seem to be a pirza according to which would definitely a pirza, nevertheless, it doesn't make them like one. Because the Chumra say that more than 10 is parts mimilua, but it's parts to forbid the other one. Not to permit the other one. Those who say the gam lukula even to be lenient. In other words, this case to make a caravan, the opening of 10 or more is enough, even though it has kifufim. as if they all live together, but not share and become a caravan. It's Magen Avram. Lo near Cain, or Shul disagrees. It says in the brackets, B'Tesh Shabbos Simcha Luches Chalak Barayas Brus brings true, clear evidence against Magen Avram. Reveal Machzit Shekel, Machzit Shekel brings it down and Shab. Peter Yatomim Mashitzir Shasram Dafka Megufov. Now you understand what the Shas brings down, concerning specifically where there are these walls of the Chayim. Shumim Lokei Nazu Shekel, because after that they wouldn't be a caravan. The dog. Bir Alocha is not Machriya. Whether we say only the Chumrah that more than Eser is a part Milua or even Le Kula.